So our next point for today is basic or core conditions of counseling. The learning objectives for this session are to make a list of core conditions of counseling, to follow the basic conditions during the counseling process. Now, what are the basic or core conditions of counseling? So, these are the most important conditions that are required for counseling. The first among them is trust. The second one is acceptance, empathy, genuineness, and unconditional positive regard. Now, what are these? Just let us have a look at it. So, first thing is trust. As we have already discussed earlier also, that trust is something which is most important between the client and the counselor. So, whenever a counselee comes with his problem for counseling session, the first thing which is very important, and we have already discussed, that in the rapport building session itself, there should be a relationship of trust that has to be developed between the counselee and the counselor. Otherwise, the counselee will not confide and will not open up with his problems. The second thing is acceptance. So, in acceptance, the counselor accepts the client the way he is. In empathy, the person or the counselor should feel exactly what the client feels. In genuineness, we have something which deals with the reality, or it speaks about the genuineness of the counselor. And lastly, we have unconditional positive regard, that whatever the condition is and whoever the client is, the counselor must always show unconditional positive regard towards the clients. Now, let us see them in detail. So, what exactly trust means? So, in trust, whenever the counselor approaches a person, he has lot of anxiety, and when he reaches the counseling session, it is but obvious that he may not open up or he may not express his anxieties. But once the relationship of trust is developed, only then the client will open up, he will express his inner anxieties, and he will try to resolve his problems. He opens up with his worries. Many a times he also speaks about his fears only if the relationship of trust is developed. So, trust is the most necessary condition between the client and the counselor. The second important condition that is required for counseling is acceptance. Now, see friends, whenever the client approaches the counselor, most of the times he is rejected, he is devalued, he is abandoned by the society, and he feels very isolated and lost in the society. And this is when he comes for counseling. So, whoever the client is and whatever is his condition, the counselor must accept the client the way he is. And this must be properly communicated to the client right in the relationship building stage itself. So, the client should understand that he is being accepted by the counselor. The third point is unconditional positive regard. That means the counselor must be non-judgmental. He must not enforce certain conditions on the client. Once there is unconditional positive regard about the client, only then the client will feel more caring, he will feel worthy, and he will feel that he can feel his dignity. The next point is genuineness. Genuineness is when the client will judge how genuine the counselor is. So, this genuineness can be seen by consistency in words, actions, and feelings of the counselor. Now, many a times we have seen people in the society that whenever they are speaking on big platforms, they make some sentences, they make certain statements, but their actions do not go hand in hand with whatever statements they are making. And then people realize how inconsistent these people are, and then we know that they are not genuine. So, same is the case here with the counselor. That is, however the counselor behaves, there must be consistency in his words, in his actions, in his feelings, and also his body language. Only then the client will confide in the counselor. And lastly, the most important condition is empathy. As we have time and again talked about this, that is, we have known something about sympathy. In sympathy, you feel something for the client, but in empathy, you feel exactly what the client feels. So, empathy is nothing but it is a real understanding of the client's situation. As we commonly tell that we must walk into the shoes of the client, that is only then you will know where the shoe is biting. There are certain other counseling skills as well. They are attending skills, active listening, paraphrasing and reflection, self-disclosure, immediacy, confrontation and questioning. Now let us see them in detail. What are attending skills? So basically when you attend a client, it's not about attending his problems, but it is how much attentive you are towards his verbal and non-verbal cues. So when you are listening to a particular client, it's not only listening the words what he is speaking, but you have to also note down his non-verbal cues. You have to observe very carefully his body language, his fists, his fingers, hand movements, his eyeballs, eyebrows and many other things. So basically in attending skills, it is how efficiently you attend to the client and his problems. Next we have active listening. Now what do you mean by active listening? So active listening is something much more than hearing. It tells us how exactly the client is expressing himself, and the counselor should be able to read between the lines. We have to be able to understand even what the client is not speaking. Now there are certain barriers to communication. These barriers to communication are giving advice. So counseling is not giving advice. We offer solutions. We have discussed time and again that the job of the counselor is not to give solutions, but to offer various alternatives, and then the client is free to choose among these solutions, or not solutions, rather alternatives. Preaching is not counseling, mind you. Many a times what people do is we deliver sermons and we want people to follow those sermons, and then we feel that we are counseling people. This is what is a layman's view about counseling. So basically preaching is not counseling, rather preaching is a barrier to communication. Then we have judging or criticizing. Many a times it is a common tendency as human beings that whenever there is a client in front of you, there is a tendency to judge the client or to criticize the client, but judging or criticizing is also a barrier to communication. Then the next barrier is praising and agreeing. So you need not praise or agree with the client all the time. Then next barrier to communication is reassuring. So you don't have to reassure what the client is saying. And lastly, analyzing. We do not have to analyze the client's problems or the client's situations. So the other counseling skills are paraphrasing and reflection. Now what happens in paraphrasing? Basically you try to summarize what the client has told. So after the client has spoken few lines, you try to summarize and you try to put the same thing in front of him in other words. So you put his own story in a fresh manner, and then this allows the client to reflect on this situation. So paraphrasing basically works on the cognitive domain, whereas reflection works on the affective domain. Now I need not tell you what affective and cognitive domains are. Basically cognitive domain is related to thought processes and affective domain is related to feelings and emotions. So when you ask the client to reflect on something, it is a time when the client thinks about his problem, and it is what he feels about his situation. The next skill is about self-disclosure. So self-disclosure is something where the counselor himself explains when he has gone through such a situation. But you have to be cautious in self-disclosure as to what extent you are expressing to the client. Next is immediacy. In immediacy, it means we must understand when the counselor has to take a particular action during the counseling process. So sometimes when he realizes that this counseling is not going in a particular direction, he must immediately come back and refocus on his goals. So this is called immediacy. Then you have confrontation. Now many a times confrontation is coming face to face with the situation and challenging the thoughts. But when we talk about confrontation in counseling, it is giving a new avenue or giving a new direction to the problem of the client, and this is challenging the client to think exactly what the problem is. And lastly, we have questioning. In questioning, the counselor can ask open-ended or closed-ended questions. And there is also a third type of question which is called as probing questions. So in open-ended questions, there is lot of scope for exploration and expansion. In open-ended questions, the counselors ask such a question wherein the counselee will feel like expressing himself and will have no barrier to answer the questions. But in closed-ended question, there is a very little scope for explanation. Usually in closed-ended questions, you just have two responses, that is yes or no response.